afternoons. Across the south, highs of 10 or 11, into the north, 5 to 7 degrees. So as we go through Monday, it is a case of sunny spells, but frequent blustery showers just pushing their way through. But like I said, there should be some sunshine in between. They'll generally ease as we go through the day and overnight. And then Tuesday, a chilly start, but plenty of sunshine before turning downhill again on Wednesday with rain and perhaps some more snow.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Make sure you don't miss the chance to grab an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash. And that's not all. Courtesy of Riviera Travel, there's a terrific £10,000 holiday for two to be won. Choose from over 30 worldwide destinations like Thailand, South Africa, or even Sri Lanka. There's just 2 weeks left to enter. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB19, PO Box 8690, Derby, DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 27th of February. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power?
Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber.
Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics.
We'll see where this ruling takes us.
These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
We love Great Britain. We love its history, its culture and its tradition, and that's why we're so proud to be part of GB News.
You look genuinely emotional. Oh, come here.
GB News does pay attention to those who are ignored by the mainstream media. The majority of this country whose forefathers fought and died to maintain liberty, to fight for freedom of speech.
The rule of law, the rights of property and democracy. This is the heritage that our country should be so proud of.
Which of course includes our Christian heritage. There's been a huge resurgence in the number of people going to church. Perhaps they're not finding what they're looking for, and they're looking for something a bit deeper, a bit more truthful, a bit more akin to Britain's Christian heritage.
That's right, get ready, because the most exciting night in general election history starts now!
Good evening, Britain. It's 9 o'clock. I'm Alex Armstrong. Tonight on the show.
Are you a supporter of ISIS?
Do you want to answer? Yes.
Islamist terrorists are plotting to kill Christians and Jews in Britain.
Cliff is absolutely right. You know, I think he's just being honest. And I don't see anything wrong in being honest.
Britain is being colonised. I've got some interviews in one of the most ethnically diverse places in Britain. Is it offensive?
It is, because, you know, immigrants also build this country. I don't have anything against English people, honestly, but you can't find them cleaning their houses, working in warehouses for a minimum wage. It's immigrants who is doing this.
And trust me, the answers are really going to surprise you tonight. Also on the show, Sadiq Khan has switched on Ramadan lights in London. And of course, those lights are reading the words Happy Ramadan. But why was there no Happy Christmas message? Tonight, we're debating if the UK prioritises other religions over Christianity. Plus, Tony Blair's original vision for the United Kingdom is imploding before his own eyes. Is this the final end of New Labour ideology? And
I don't think voters like unnecessary elections very much.
well, the Electoral Commission has made an astonishing intervention as they declare there is no good reason for local elections to be cancelled for a second year in a row. And joining me on my panel tonight is geopolitical strategist and SDP Foreign Affairs spokesman Henry Bolton, former Conservative MP Jane Stevenson, former Labour advisor Paul Richard is joining me too. And what do you think is going on here?
This individual, did he appear to be drunk? Did he appear to be aggressive? He just looked, like, he hadn't slept for, a week.
If you haven't seen that interview, it really is something, I tell you what. For all you lonely hearts out there this evening, I'll be keeping you company this Valentine's Day. And for those of you coupled up watching, well, they say three's a party, don't they? Shall we get cracking? Let's get your news first with Sophia Wensler.
Good evening. It's just gone 9 o'clock. These are your headlines. Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny died in prison after being poisoned with a deadly toxin found in Ecuadorian dart frogs. The UK and other allies have described the poisoning, which they claim could only have been carried out by Vladimir Putin's government, as a barbaric act. The neurotoxin that is classified as a chemical weapon is 200 times stronger than morphine. It's not clear how it was administered to Navalny, who was incarcerated in Siberia when he died almost 2 years ago. According to TASS news agency, Moscow has dismissed the finding as a disinformation campaign. The Prime Minister has urged Europe to be ready to fight and do whatever it takes to protect our values. Addressing around 50 world leaders at the Munich Security Conference, Sir Keir Starmer said the Brexit days are gone, insisting there's no British security without Europe. He addressed warnings that Russia could use military force against NATO by the end of the decade and announced the UK will be deploying its carrier strike group to the Arctic this year to support Euro-Atlantic security. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister has admitted he has made mistakes, but said he is coming out fighting and vowed he will lead Labour into the next election. In an exclusive interview with The Sun on Sunday, Keir Starmer conceded that it had been a tough week and added, when you do a job like mine, you have tough weeks. In other news, President Volodymyr Zelensky also addressed the conference. The Ukrainian president voiced hope for the US-brokered peace talks in Geneva next week.
The Americans often return to the topic of concessions, and too often those concessions are discussed in the context only of Ukraine, not Russia. Europe is practically not present at the table. It's a big mistake to my mind.
Elsewhere, Lord Mandelson has been seen publicly for the first time since being summoned to testify before US Congress. Peter Mandelson was pictured with his dog leaving his home in northwest London. He is currently under police investigation for misconduct in public office after allegedly leaking market-sensitive information to the late paedophile Jeffrey Epstein. Lord Mandelson has repeatedly denied all wrongdoing. Matt Weston has made history becoming the first British man to win gold in the skeleton at the Winter Olympics in Italy. It's also Team GB's first medal of this Games. The 28-year-old has already secured the world and European titles and says being Olympic champion means everything. And the Prince and Princess of Wales have celebrated Valentine's Day by releasing a previously unseen photo. The black and white snap of Prince William and Princess Catherine was taken in Norfolk back in April last year and photographed by Josh Shinner. Meanwhile, across the pond, the Duchess of Sussex shared an image of the Duke of Sussex and their daughter to mark the occasion with the caption, "These two plus Archie equal my forever Valentines." Those are the latest GB News headlines. Now it's back to Alex.
Tune into GB News Radio wherever you are. Online, on DAB digital radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player, on Nation Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
Islamist ISIS terrorists are plotting massacres of Christians and Jews here in Britain.
He's also said that you've mentioned about being a supporter of ISIS.
No, I don't answer this question.
Are you a supporter of ISIS?
Do you want to answer? Yes.
You are?
Yes.
Okay, tell me about that.
No, I don't tell you anything. They are Muslim. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, they are Muslim.
What is it about them that you support?
They are Muslim. They make Sharia. Yeah, they make Sharia.
Okay.
Yes.
Is there a difference between ISIS and some other people who say they're Muslims?
Yeah, they're all Muslims. They are hypocrites, but the ISIS, they are real Muslim.
Okay.
They make Sharia.
Waleed Sadawi from Tunisia, who came to the UK on a work visa, and Ammar Hussein, born in Kuwait. Those are the two very sick Islamists who, of course, have been busted by the Great British Police. Here's how they stung them. Waleed Sadawi, before his arrest to an undercover officer, he described wanting to target young, old women, elderly, the whole lot, and viewed any Christian victims as a bonus. And what we are seeing on screen here, for those of you listening to the show, is weapons, a machine gun being loaded here, bullets, the weapons they were going to use, of course, for this attack before they were stung. Once he was finished slaughtering Jews, he also planned to attack Christians, stating, "God willing, after we finish the Jews, we move on to the Crusaders." He expressed a long-held ambition to commit terrorist attacks, admitting in a recorded phone call that he contemplated car-ramming attacks in Tunisia and in the UK, but eventually settled on guns after he was inspired by the massacre of Jews on October the 7th, 2023 in Israel, of course. He wanted guns because he claimed he could kill as many as possible. Judge Mark Wall Casey said if the plots were successful, it would have likely been one of the deadliest terror attacks ever carried out on British soil, noting they were very close to being ready. It's terrifying stuff, isn't it? MI5's terror watch list holds around 45,000 individuals, with the vast majority, up to 39,000 of them, deemed to be Islamist extremists. In prisons, over 200 people serve time for terrorism offences, most holding extreme Islamist views. And all I can say is this: what have our political class unleashed on this country? How many people will have to die before they actually do something? Because it's now not a matter of this kind of massacre will happen, it's when it will happen, isn't it? Action, of course, can be taken immediately. We can do what Donald Trump has done very bravely and block visas from countries where Islamist extremism is thriving like a cancer at this time in the world. If the government won't act, then it's clear to me they will only have themselves to blame. And joining me now, before we go to my panel, is extremism prevention educator Sohail Ahmed. Sohail, thanks for coming and joining me this evening. You've been on my show before, so I was really pleased you could come back. We do have a radicalisation problem here in Britain. Is it too late for us to change anything about this?
Quick answer, no, I don't think it's too late. But
I cannot lie to you and say that the problem is small or that it's insignificant. In fact, when it comes to Islamist extremism, it's a mainstream trend within the wider Muslim community. Mainstream, a minority, but a very significant minority. The threat level that we are facing and the severity of the threat is far more extensive than most people are willing to admit, or even most people are aware of.
And we've seen, of course, reports of people being up for early release as well. We have reports of prisons where the segregated blocks, where there's so much extremism happening and they're just running wild. Is the British government prepared and ready to tackle this problem? Are these prevention programmes going to be enough, Sahel?
No. I don't think that they are enough. I mean, the prevention programs we do have are essentially world-class, but it can definitely improve. It can definitely improve a lot. So some of the training that I deliver is actually to frontline workers in the PREVENT program. But essentially, there needs to be far more extensive and drastic action taken on this threat. Firstly, the political class needs to actually admit to themselves the extent of the threat. Most of them aren't even aware, and I work with parliamentarians. Secondly, we need a culture shift in this country. We actually need to realize that actually this country is one of the greatest countries on earth, if not the greatest country on earth, and that it's worth defending, and that it's worth defending the values of this country and our way of life. And if you don't believe anyone else, take it from me, a former Islamist who saw the other side and who now sees what Britain has to offer.
Indeed. Well, stay with us because I'd like to bring in the rest of my panel here as well this evening. Of course, geopolitical strategist and SDP Foreign Affairs spokesman Henry Bolton is making his debut on the show. Good to see you, Henry. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Alex.
Former Conservative MP Jane Stevenson is also here with former Labour advisor Paul Richards. Henry, I'll start with you. This was chilling, this report, and I get so angry because I just feel like the government are sitting on their hands when actually this issue is boiling over, it's seemingly getting worse, and nobody's doing anything about it, and it feels to me people will have to die before the British government takes action.
Undoubtedly, and people have died.
True.
Let's not forget that. A lot of people have died. But first of all, absolutely right. You've got to recognise the threat. You've not just recognise it, but acknowledge it. Because if you're not going to do that, none of the other machinery that would enable you to address it can be mobilised. And I say that because this present government, and it links together. I mean, Islamism is it's a sectarian cult, and not just religious, it's sectarian. And actually we've got a government that is allowing, almost enabling sectarianism to come into our politics, which undermines our ability to fight the terrorist angle of it even more deeply. So at the moment, the government is failing to recognise, acknowledge or act. And I know from my own experience, I was saying just before we came on, for 3 years I ran the UK's efforts to disrupt transnational organised crime with a focus on people smuggling across the southern Balkans. That was 2003 to 2006. In that process, we very rapidly had mission creep because of a priority which we identified. We were detecting the movement of Islamists who had been infiltrated into people smuggling networks to move into European and particularly Scandinavian countries, not to conduct terrorist attacks themselves, but to agitate, to build Islamist sentiment and to recruit people themselves in those countries, often from the sort of, if you like, the indigenous population, but who were vulnerable, to conduct attacks on their behalf. So we have got that was over 20 years ago, and Tony Blair pulled the funding on that project in 2006. That was the most effective project we had to disrupt this. There has been nothing of any substance since, and the problem has only grown. So hats off to the security services.
They did a good job.
An outstanding job. But at some point,
something's got to give.
God forbid that something will get through the net.
Paul, I'll bring you in. The official threat level is substantial at the moment, and it's worrying when we see things like this where the judge has said it looks like they were almost ready to go. Had our police not been, got in there and taken action, hundreds of people could be dead.
Well, that's right, and it's 21 years since 7/7, so this is a threat that we've been living with for 20, 30 years. I think there's a few things to point out. One is this was actually a triumph of undercover work by the security services. They disrupted this very, very effectively indeed. I'm reminded of that awful IRA quote, though, which is that, you know, we have to be lucky every time, they only have to be lucky once.
Right.
And so, yes, we were lucky this time, but as we know, there are multiple plots right now going on that we need to disrupt. Tony Blair put lots of money into the security services, Henry, so I mean your scheme may have been cut, but overall he doubled the size of the budgets for those after 7/7 for this reason.
He doubled the budget on those, may I say, partly by removing the operational ability in the field that had a filtering effect.
Sure. If I could
please. Yeah, go ahead.
Quickly cut in, apologies, but under in that kind of period in the 90s, what happened is that many of the Arab countries were kind of kicking out the extremist Islamist scholars and preachers. And what happened is that they applied for asylum in European countries, specifically, especially in Britain.
Yeah.
We accepted them. And actually, we are a laughingstock on the world stage. The Arab countries laugh at us for what we did. And now we're seeing the consequences of that.
Yeah. Before I bring you in, Jane, a member here, Catherine, says, Alex, please ask your guest how many Islamists he thinks he may have crossed in the boats. I know this would be a finger in the air thing, but are you concerned there are terrorists crossing over illegally into Britain as well?
100%. That's already happened.
On the boats, 100%. Absolutely, I have absolutely no doubt whatsoever. None.
Absolutely.
And as I've frequently said, that those boats are not just a risk in terms of immigration, illegal immigration, or whatever consequences that has, but there is absolutely, from my own direct operational experience, people people smuggled. That proportion, there is a proportion of those people who are, and we must assume, we know that it's happened in the past, Islamists.
Can I just point something out?
Very briefly, but I want to bring Jane in. Yeah,
I think there's a danger of conflating this with migration, because a lot of the Islamist terror is homegrown, it's converts, and so some of our effort has to be directed towards those ungoverned spaces like gyms and madrasas and so on, where this ideology is incubated, because it's not something we're importing it's something we're actually growing home as well.
We are the 7/7 bombers, obviously, were all Brits, but these two men were foreign nationals. They have been, but I think the problem we face, and absolutely the security services have done an amazing job. Now, with the internet, there is a trend towards just 2 or 3 people becoming radicalised as a cell to put together an operation rather than a wider kind of network thing. And
the father and son duo in Sydney were, of course, very close. That's why the security services couldn't get to them.
Yes, and because of internet communication, we saw training camps that used to be in Pakistan. Now they're more focused in Afghanistan. But it needs certainly more investment. I think Henry's absolutely right. We need to be backing up. When you have people entering the country on small boats, we have no idea who they are. But the human rights appeals that are allowing people to put in an asylum claim, you can say anything. It is ridiculous. Like when you're on a plane to the US, are you a terrorist? Have you ever been involved in it? No one is going to say, oh, well, actually, I was a bit.
Can I just now did on the interview?
Paul, do you think that Labour is really doing enough about this? And there's concerns that an Islamophobia definition, or whatever they want to call it, whatever way they spin it, is going to make this situation even worse. More people more fearful of calling out things that they see because they might be accused of being Islamophobic, for example.
But this was always the debate. I mean, when I was working for the Counter-terrorism Minister, a special advisor looking after prevent, you know, the argument we were having constantly is we need to educate people into what Islamism is and what it isn't, the dangers of conflating it just into Islam as a religion, and equipping politicians in particular with the arguments to be able to make those interventions. And I think we've lost some of that over the last few years.
The argument should be coming from moderate Muslim voices to call it out. People like Suhail, I'm very grateful for his words.
Suhail, can I ask you this? Do you think that any government, whether it's Conservative or Labour, has been good and effective at tackling this issue?
Good and effective, no. But one politician, I would say, did have a good grasp or idea or the intention towards it was David Cameron.
Interesting.
I would say that.
Why do you say that?
Because it was interesting. He went to a mosque, apparently, it was reported, and someone approached him and kind of mentioned all these conspiracy theories about who did 9/11. He stormed out of the mosque and then actually did that very significant speech saying
Berlin,
we need a muscular liberalism.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think the other thing, just if I can circle it around, I know without opening up the immigration debate, but both of these individuals who have been convicted now, one was of no fixed address, apparently not working. So why was he here?
Yeah, I think lots of viewers would like to know how long they've been here, how they got
not,
here.
We know it's not clear that he was here on a
I
visa.
believe they did come over on work visas, but that's a really big part of the immigration debate, isn't it?
If the work that provided the basis for your visa is no longer there, you lose your job, you're sacked, you're fired, you're made redundant, whatever it is, then your visa is no longer valid. So you leave. And the other chap, again, you know, questionable sort of verge of the grey economy, there are the questions to be looked at.
One thing I do want to add here is that Britain is actually now a net exporter of Islamist extremism, as in we export Islamism to Muslim countries rather than us.
Well, we had the UAE saying they didn't want students at British universities, so this is crazy.
Sahil, can I just say thank you so much for joining us this evening. Always very brave when you come on the show, and I really appreciate it, and I know our audience feel the same way, so thank you so much for joining me. On a review of the counter-terrorism framework, the Home Office have previously said the UK has one of the most robust counter-terrorism frameworks in the world, and we continue to strengthen these to reflect the evolving nature of the threat. Prevent continues to play a vital role in this by stopping people from becoming terrorists, and has diverted close to 6,000 people away from violent ideologies. But we know there is further to go, which is why a number of recommendations from the Lessons for Prevent reports have been immediately actioned, and its remit and effectiveness is consistently reviewed. And of course, if you want to be in with a shot of winning our new Great British giveaway, here's a chance to win it all. Here is Hayley Sparks.
You could win cash and the ultimate holiday in our two-part Great British giveaway. Thanks to Riviera Travel, you could be jetting off on a £10,000 dream holiday for two people. With flights, transfers and luxury accommodation included, you'll get to choose the kind of holiday you want. So whether you're looking for hotel comfort or on a relaxing river cruise, you'll be able to find the perfect match from over 30 global destinations on offer. And because the holiday is handpicked with you in mind, you know it's going to be perfect. Plus, we're going to give you £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. Your summer can start here, so make sure you don't miss out.
For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB19, PO Box 8690, Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 27th of February. The winner may be contacted live after all entry routes have closed. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yes, good luck, everybody. Coming up.
Active is absolutely right. You know, I think it's just being honest. And I don't see anything wrong in being honest.
Was Sir Jim Ratcliffe right to apologise over his immigration comments? Well, I went to one of the most diverse areas in Britain to ask people what they think of those comments. And I think those interviews are going to really shock you, so don't go anywhere. But before that, Ramadan lights have been put up in London, and we're asking whether other religious groups are being prioritised over Christianity, because, of course, there was no Merry Christmas lights, were there? This is Alex Armstrong tonight, only on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back, everybody. Happy Valentine's Day for all of you celebrating at home. Well, we're moving on to a topic here. Sir Sadiq Khan has unveiled happy Ramadan lights shining over London's West End. You can see the images on your screen now. Beautiful, beautiful light. Says happy Ramadan there. Of course, there's Sadiq Khan on your screens as well. With other buildings in the capital also lit up in green for the colour of Islam. Praised as a sign of diversity by the mayor, but criticised by others who say traditional Christian celebrations are being quietly sidelined. Now, with rows over winter markets, you know, instead of Christmas markets, Christmas signage and Oxford Street displays, of course, has London lost its Christian roots, or is this simply a modern multicultural capital? And joining me to discuss this is journalist and commentator Khadija Khan and Director of Domestic Policy, Pickthall House, Jacob Williams. Welcome, both of you. Khadija, I'll start with you. The reason why this has caused such an uproar, particularly on social media, is because many people point to the Christmas lights and say, well, there was no Merry Christmas messaging in them, they were just pretty lights. And therefore, when it comes to Ramadan, you've got Happy Ramadan everywhere. People think there's a two-tier when it comes to these things. What do you think, Khadija?
Thank you so much, Alex, for having me on. It is true that Christmas is a religious fest for devout Christians, but in recent years, Christmas has been evolved into a quintessentially British holiday, transcending its Christian roots. It's becoming more secular and commercial, inviting people of faith and no faith to join in the festivities, and that's the reason it is celebrated across the country. Not all people celebrate it for religious reasons, but this one occasion has been woven into the very fabric of this society, into the culture of this country. However, it is sad, as you just said, that the greetings of Merry Christmas is hardly even mentioned in Christmas decor, in contrast to the Ramadan greetings illuminating in the streets of London, not for a day or two, but for the whole month of Ramadan, when we know that Ramadan is specifically a religious ritual, a proclamation of faith for a particular group. However, this needs to be made clear that Muslims have been a part of this society for a long, long time. They are protected under the laws of the land, and they have massive representation in every aspect of British society. What has changed in the last 4 years that this lavish Ramadan celebration has become essential to our diversity and tolerance. The Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, is selling it as diversity is our strength. However, in reality, this is not about diversity. This is this display is about religious zealotry, Islamic orthodoxy, the manifestation of religious influence, and intolerance for the secular lifestyle that we espouse as British values. I cannot emphasize enough that we live in a free country and we are not obliged to respect Islam or any other religious belief for that matter, but we have been conditioned to believe that embracing Islam and appreciating Islamic belief, tradition, ritual, many of which are at odds with British laws and values, is the only way to protect Muslims from discrimination and bigotry. And bear in mind, this rule does not apply to other religions. Such efforts are insidious and have been made to blur the lines between Islam as a set of beliefs and Muslims as people in a bid to ring-fence Islam.
OK, yeah. Jacob, what do you make of that? Do we whitewash, we call what used to be called Christmas markets or winter markets? We see this stuff happening all the time. And, when it comes to other religious festivals, we're not so shy about celebrating them for what they are. What's the result of that, Jacob?
Well, look, the first point I'd like to make is I think it's entirely legitimate, and I say this not despite being a Muslim, but because I'm one, that we should indeed celebrate our Christian heritage more. Of course, people of no faith can also celebrate Christmas, but we should celebrate our Christian roots. And I think I would point out that these Christmas lights and the precise nature of the displays are determined primarily, I believe, by their private donors. So, it might be worth, but some of the wealthy Christians in this country, like, I don't know, Paul Marshall, considering actually asking the mayor if he'd like to have a proper Christmas display that celebrates Christmas properly next year, or maybe an Easter display, as that's coming up immediately after Ramadan, and we can actually, celebrate our Christian roots that way. I will say to Khadija, I think it's quite ridiculous to claim this is a display of intolerance. It's a bunch of lights with the words Happy Ramadan. And I'd like to know exactly who is not being tolerated, who is being mistreated, who is being told they have to have any particular attitude towards Islam or Muslims because there's some lights up in the street. I really can't think of anything more harmless or anodyne than this Ramadan display. And the correct solution, if people feel it's unfair to Christians or to our Christian heritage, which we absolutely should celebrate, is to celebrate that more, not to take down these completely harmless lights.
OK, over to you, Khadija.
This is not about celebrating Christmas more or less. We do celebrate Christmas, but we have a very beautiful and settled way to celebrate religious festival here in this country. But Ramadan celebration, this manifestation of religiosity, is unnecessarily excessive, and this emboldens polarization and a sense of exclusion and marginalization for other religious communities. And I think it's very important to highlight. Let me finish, please. It's very important to highlight that the month of Ramadan, it's also an excuse for religious fanatics and theocratic Islamic regimes to coerce individuals to adhere to their intolerable ideologies.
So the Iranian Ramadan lights in London.
Guys, stop talking over each other. Hang on. I'm just going to pause it there, Khadija.
But also here in Britain.
Sorry, this is nonsense. I'm sorry. Which Islamist regime?
Khadija and Jacob, both of you, just because our audience want to be able to hear what you can say. Khadija, I'm just going to pass it back over to Jacob just to respond to some of your comments, and I'll pass it back to you again. Go ahead, Jacob.
This really is absolute arrant nonsense. Which oppressive Islamist regime is looking at London's Ramadan lights and feeling emboldened to oppress their people? Ramadan is a pretext for religious bigots. I mean, it's a month in which people refrain from eating and drinking for a certain time. That religious bigots will do what they want to do anyway, regardless of what lights are up in London. I really don't think these displays are as important as you're making out, and I certainly don't think that oppressive regimes are following Sadiq Khan's every move or obsessed over which lights are up in which streets the way that you seem to be.
I think this is embarrassing for us as a free and democratic country that we are celebrating and glorifying such draconian religious rituals and customs.
Well, we're not. We're celebrating not eating and
let me please finish. That's how we cannot have a decent debate. You think you can talk over and win the debate? I think that's not the way we do here in Britain. We have to listen to the other person as well. So I'm saying that there are many closeted, apostate and ex-Muslim even here in Britain who have been made to fast. And if they refuse to comply, they have been treated very badly by their own family members. I have been in touch. I have reported some cases in my articles that there are people who have been suffering in silence, even in this country. So there are people in this country, they are free to follow whatever they believe they may choose for themselves. However, we don't have to glorify and celebrate such rituals, which can be used as an excuse to coerce people into compliance.
OK, Jacob, final word to you.
I quite agree. No one is being required to celebrate Ramadan. No one's being required to fast. Now, if individuals are being threatened with violence silenced by their families or their communities,
disgraceful
then that's a
for us
wrong.
to do
I agree
so.
that's disgraceful, and it's also a crime, and the law should be enforced properly. The Ramadan lights have absolutely nothing to do with it. This is a woke storm in a teacup, and it's loads of nonsense.
Celebrating oppression is disgraceful.
All right,
No one
well,
is
both of
celebrating
you,
oppression.
Even in the name of religion.
Khadija, Jacob, both of you, thank you very much for a heated debate this evening. Journalist and commentator Khadija Khan and director at the Domestic Policy at Pickthall House, Jacob Williams. Thank you both very, very much. Fiery stuff, eh? Coming up on the show.
Ratcliffe is absolutely right. You know, I think he's just being honest. And I don't see anything wrong in being honest.
Was Sir Jim Ratcliffe's right? Was he right to apologise over his immigration comments? I went to one of the most diverse areas in the entirety of Britain, 2% white British population there, to ask them what they think. And I have a feeling you at home are going to be shocked by what they had to say. But before we get to that, is Tony Blair's vision for Britain finally, after what feels like 30 years of it, in tatters? This is Alex Armstrong tonight, only on GB News.
I hope we haven't forgotten anything.
Travel insurance, I tick that box.
Yeah, but remember what you forgot last year.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, well it is finally settling down in the Iberian Peninsula, bringing parts of Portugal and Spain some dry and settled weather. It's also fairly settled for the Canary Islands throughout this weekend. Still some wet weather pushing into parts of northern Portugal. In fact, much of France will see some very wet weather. Also unsettled through the Mediterranean, Italy in towards Greece as well, seeing spells of showers throughout the weekend. It will turn warmer though into next week for Tenerife. Bye-bye.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Good evening. Welcome to a GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, after plenty of sunshine today, it turns downhill. We'll see the return of rain and hill snow tonight and then blustery showers through tomorrow. So this ridge of high pressure is extended over us today, but out towards the west, we've got weather fronts approaching. And as this meets the cold air, we're going to see a mixture of rain, sleet and hill snow, initially across Northern Ireland, pushing its way eastwards into much of Scotland, Northern England and Wales. And there is a Met Office snow and ice warning in force overnight and into tomorrow morning. So icy stretches are possible first thing on Sunday morning. Otherwise to the south, most of it falling as rain. Temperatures holding up here around 6 or 7 degrees. So as we start Sunday morning then, do take care, there could be icy stretches in places across Scotland. Orkney and Shetland seeing outbreaks of rain, but for the vast majority of Scotland it's a case of showers. Still some of those on the wintry side. Across Northern Ireland, cloudy, outbreaks of heavy rain arriving later in the west. Many places across northern England holding on to a lot of cloud and a wet start across the south with outbreaks of rain. And some of this rain could turn a little bit wintry across the southeast initially. Otherwise, as we head through the afternoon, there is a band of showery outbreaks of rain that is going to be pushing across the country. Some of this is going to be heavy, perhaps with the risk of hail and thunder, and then behind that, some brighter interludes across the south, highs of 10 or 11, into the north, 5 to 7 degrees. So as we go through Monday, it is a case of sunny spells, but frequent blustery showers just pushing their way through. But like I said, there should be some sunshine in between. They'll generally ease as we go through the day and overnight. And then Tuesday, a chilly start, but plenty of sunshine before turning downhill again on Wednesday with rain and perhaps some more snow.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel. Britain's news channel.
Yeah, welcome back to the show. I've got a corker for you here. It's a corker. The Prime Minister has told The Sun this evening he has made mistakes. It's putting it lightly, isn't it? But he will come out fighting as he vows to lead Labour into the next election. This comes, of course, after a tumultuous couple of weeks, surviving a scandal for now, and with whispers of a leadership coup growing. Many are now asking when, not if, he'll resign his premiership. I can't believe he said he's doing... It's just ridiculous, isn't it? I've made some mistakes. We know, Prime Minister. Trust me, we know. We are suffering the consequences of it. Anyway, thank you for coming to that realisation all by yourself. That's perhaps maybe the start to a new track for you. Anyway, in today's Telegraph, Sam Ashworth-Hayes, a good friend of mine, has written that nearly 30 years after Tony Blair's landslide election, the former Prime Minister's vision for Britain is in complete tatters. Well, he claims that even if Labour retains Starmer as its frontman, a major policy shift will certainly pivot the party further left, more likely to draw on the ideas of Jeremy Corbyn, goodness me, than the Blair years. He adds this: whether overseen by Starmer, Rayner, Streeting or Miliband, the pivot will undoubtedly be billed as an attempt to unite the party. However it goes, any prospect of a Blairite revival is dead. So, is he right? Is this the end of Blairism? Of course, I've got my panel back in the studio here with me. Henry Bolton's here, Jane Stevenson and Paul Richards. And Paul, I'll start with you because you're an architect of New Labour as far as I'm concerned. And I would also argue, and you can feel free to disagree with me here, that Blairism has continued on, and I think David Cameron quite proudly once said he was sort of the heir to Blair.
Heir to Blair. It all depends what you mean, doesn't it? And if you start debating politics, it's always about the definition.
That's what we're here for, Paul.
I think New Labour was a victim of its own success in pretending it was something absolutely brand new.
The country wasn't a victim of New Labour.
Brand new sort of branding and saying, everything that went before was a terrible thing, but now Tony Blair's come in and everything's marvellous. Actually, what Tony Blair and Gordon Brown were doing was dipping into a much older Labour tradition, which was about governing, using social democratic politics, values rather than ideology. And that is a thread that's run through Labour history for the whole of the 120 years. So he wasn't brand new at all. And, Mr Mandelson and others kind of carefully positioned it. So Starmer is not going to swing to the left, and we're certainly not going to get a return to Jeremy Corbyn, who is now out of the party and swirling off to the left.
I don't think there's any accusation that Corbyn's coming back, but I think some of his ideas might.
No, I don't think so. Well, look at the NATO speech today, for example, at the Munich Security Conference. Corbyn would not have made that speech. So Starmer positioning us very strongly in terms of defence, spending more on defence and being strong within NATO. That's a very Blairite position, if you like, and certainly nothing that suggests they swing to the left.
Chris here, Jane says, Chris says to me, pivot left, he's already on the, I can't say that word, left. What are you talking about? Well, Chris, I totally understand what you're saying. I think we mean further left.
But I think we underestimate the number of people who do want a completely left-wing government. Jeremy Corbyn got more votes in 2019 than Keir Starmer did in 2024. The result was clearly very, very different. But the rise of the Green Party now and their policies are absolutely left-wing lunacy. But there is that appetite. And I think Keir Starmer, New Labour was to reassure people they weren't going to get one of those 1970s style kind of completely disastrous Labour governments with overspending.
Well, we stuck to the spending.
Well, you
for 3
stuck
years,
it all on PFI and left NHS trusts paying £80 billion for £11 billion of hospitals.
That's not the point I was making. The point I was making, we actually stuck to the Conservative spending cuts on the basis of trying to reassure people.
You hid borrowing. And I'm afraid people did get so much damage with New Labour. We got the Human Rights Act that now has meant the ECHR's knitted together in the fabric. This is the root of all these dodgy claims. We got open borders in '97. Blair kicked off this,
But Jane, the Tories carried it all on.
But they did. No, I know. When the immigration...
I'm not Conservative and I'm not Labour, but I think most of the country is sick and tired, forgive me, but sick and tired of Labour and Conservatives going over who did what in 1997, who did what in 2010. OK, we are where we are. And what we've got to do is go forward. And I think addressing your question about New Labour, every political party goes through a sort of they're constantly evolving, and the externals, if you like, the sort of what's going on in the public realm, what's going on globally, whether it's sort of risks with China, Russia, the American stance, whatever, or whether it's the economy in the UK and how that's affected by whatever's going on elsewhere. Those all influence the evolution of a political party. And people talk about the right being split and needing to unite. The left is at least as split, whether it's Greens or whether it's, Your Party. Yeah. Within Labour, you've got people who are fundamentally Islamists. And very sectarian in orientation.
There are no Islamists in the Labour Party. In the Labour Party, inside the Labour Party, you think there are Islamists in the Labour Party?
You did have Zara Sultan.
She's not in the Labour Party.
No, she's not now. She's not now. But you know, there's a great deal of sympathy there for the Gaza cause. The Gaza cause is fundamentally sectarian in nature, and it's religious sectarianism. And so these things, and unless we said earlier, unless political parties and governments are prepared to acknowledge the problem, recognise the threat and acknowledge it, we are never going to deal with it. What we have done is, and this is one of the reasons why the Labour Party and the left are divided, is because there's been so many people who have actually appeased all sorts of the importation of foreign cultures that have frankly displaced much of our own, certainly in local areas, and introduced sectarianism or allowed it to establish itself.
Yeah, all right. Well, listen, we're going to talk a lot more about this, but coming up at 10 p.m.
It is absolutely right. You know, I think it's just being honest. And I don't see anything wrong in being honest.
Listen, I went to one of the most ethnically diverse areas in Britain. It really is an ethnically diverse area. Only 2 to 3% of the population around Southall are white British people. And I wanted to know whether they were offended or whether they thought Sir Jim Ratcliffe should apologise for his comments about saying Britain is being colonised by immigrants. Trust me, it is really interesting what they tell me. Before that, the wonderful Charlotte Griffiths is going to update us on Prince William reportedly demanding that Andrew Mountbatten Windsor was dealt with more firmly after his disastrous Newsnight interview. All's going to be revealed next on Alex Armstrong Tonight. Stay tuned.
I'm Michelle Dewberry. This is Jubes & Co. with you.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here. GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News, anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits. You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to the show. Well, a new biography has claimed that Prince William reportedly demanded that Andrew Mountbatten Windsor be forced out of the royal family following his disastrous Newsnight interview in 2019. Let's just get straight to the editor-at-large of the Mail on Sunday, Charlotte Griffiths. Charlotte, always a pleasure, and thank you for joining me while you're on holiday as well. I really do appreciate it. Prince William, is he going to be this really tough king? He obviously was, according to this biography, demanding the removal of Andrew from the royal family quite some time ago.
Yeah, full 6 years before the king stripped Andrew of his titles, Prince William was calling for it and, in fact, has been campaigning for it ever since. But what happened at the time was the Queen and Charles, apparently, according to his book, quote, put him in his place. So I think he probably will be smarting from that, probably now thinking, I was right all along, Dad. And that makes me think he's going to be an even tougher king, because I think he's probably full of resentment, actually, because this is his inheritance they were messing with. You know, when he tried to voice an opinion, it was his future that they decided on that in that moment where they decided to let him carry on using his titles. And William rightly kind of made the point and was very adamant about the fact that this was a problem that would never go away, and it would drip, drip, drip for years and years and years. And now we've got 3 million Epstein files, and I actually think it will drip for another several years. So he was absolutely right, and this makes me think you're correct to say he's going to be very, very tough when he finally gets the chance to make the decisions on his own.
Indeed. And I just want to get your thoughts on this other story, Charlotte, while I've got you, because there was a bit of fury from locals as they saw Andrew Mountbatten Windsor with claims that he's at Sandringham being weighted on hand and foot. Is there any truth to that from what you can tell?
Well, I do know that he has got some staff that his brother provided to him. I don't know if he's being weighted on hand and foot, because what I heard was that, well, I know that the Mail on Sunday printed pictures of the Waitrose delivery van going to his house, and what I heard was that he started answering the door to, himself, which we're all completely used to doing. But believe it or not, I don't think Andrew's ever opened the door himself to a Waitrose delivery van. So I think it's a mixture. I mean, I think he's probably not completely alone in that house, because he wouldn't be able to function. This is a man that's been spoiled his entire life, weighted on hand and foot, and normally has Fergie around or his daughters around, if no staff. And that's just not the case anymore. So I think he's probably got staff, but maybe not hand and foot all day long.
Yeah, do you think he's going to have to maybe batten down the hatches a little bit as he looks towards future King William, that might be slightly tougher on him and his perhaps luxurious lifestyle, Charlotte?
Definitely. I think he'll watch out for his daughters, because Andrew's incredibly fond of his daughters and believes firmly that they should be working royals. I actually think William will set about dismantling the York title altogether. And I'm afraid I don't think he will be very loyal towards his cousins. I think he'll probably cut them off as well. Wow. And that is also the revelations in this book as well sort of hinted that and there was a thing in the Mail today, a piece in the Mail today about, actually, I don't think the girls are that close with Catherine and William at all, really. And I know they shouldn't be blamed for their father's deeds, but it seems more and more that they were present for a lot of meetings. For example, Beatrice encouraged the Newsnight interview, told her father she'd done a great job, and in the Epstein files, Fergie makes it clear that she consulted with Beatrice about how to handle Epstein. So I think that they are now, I'm afraid, tarred with their parents' brush, and for William, that means cutting off his cousins.
Indeed, it certainly seems that way. Charlotte Griffiths, thank you so much for joining me. Enjoy your holiday. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Coming up on the show... Is it offensive?
It is, because
You know, immigrants also built this country. I don't have anything against English people, honestly, but you can't find them cleaning their houses, working in warehouses for a minimum wage. It's immigrants who is doing this.
As you know, I like to get out and about, and I've got those exclusive interviews there for the most ethnically diverse place in Britain. That's next.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good evening. Welcome to a GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, after plenty of sunshine today, it turns downhill. We'll see the return of rain and hill snow tonight and then blustery showers through tomorrow. So this ridge of high pressure is extended over us today, but out towards the west, we've got weather fronts approaching. And as this meets the cold air, we're going to see a mixture of rain, sleet and hill snow initially across Northern Ireland, pushing its way eastwards into much of Scotland, Northern England and Wales. And there is a Met Office snow and ice warning in force overnight and into tomorrow morning. So icy stretches are possible first thing on Sunday morning. Otherwise to the south, most of it falling as rain. Temperatures holding up here around 6 or 7 degrees. So as we start Sunday morning then, do take care. There could be icy stretches in places across Scotland. Orkney and Shetland seeing outbreaks of rain, but for the vast majority of Scotland it's a case of showers. Still some of those on the wintry side. Across Northern Ireland, cloudy, outbreaks of heavy rain arriving later in the west. Many places across northern England holding on to a lot of cloud and a wet start across the south with outbreaks of rain. And some of this rain could turn a little bit wintry across the southeast initially. Otherwise, as we head through the afternoon, there is a band of showery outbreaks of rain that is going to be pushing across the country. Some of this is going to be heavy, perhaps with the risk of hail and thunder. And then behind that, some brighter interludes across the south, highs of 10 or 11, into the north, 5 to 7 degrees. So as we go through Monday, it is a case of sunny spells, but frequent blustery showers just pushing their way through. But like I said, there should be some sunshine in between. They'll generally ease as we go through the day and overnight. And then Tuesday, a chilly start, but plenty of sunshine before turning downhill again on Wednesday with rain and perhaps some more snow.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
There's only 2 weeks remaining to see how you could win a whopping £30,000 in tax-free cash. Plus, we could be sorting out your summer with an incredible holiday for two worth £10,000, courtesy of Riviera Travel. You'll get to choose from 47 tours in over 30 worldwide destinations. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB19 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 27th of February. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, DC.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Good evening, Britain. It's 10 o'clock. I'm Alex Armstrong. Tonight.
Are you a supporter of ISIS?
Do you want to answer? Yes.
Islamist terrorists are plotting to kill Christians and Jews in Britain.
Cliff is absolutely right. You know, I think he's just being honest. And I don't see anything wrong in being honest.
Britain is being colonised. Well, I've got some exclusive interviews in one of the most ethnically diverse places in Britain. Take a look at this. Is it offensive?
It is, because, you know, immigrants also build this country. I don't have anything against English people, honestly, but you can't find them cleaning their houses, working in warehouses for a minimum wage. It's immigrants who is doing this.
That is in Southall in London, where only between 2 and 3% of the population are white British. You're going to be really surprised by some of the answers. Some of them might make your blood boil. But also tonight, Sadiq Khan has switched on Ramadan lights in London that read Happy Ramadan. But why was there no Happy Christmas message? Tonight, we've been debating if the UK is prioritising other religions over Christianity. Plus,
I don't think voters like unnecessary elections very much.
Yes, the Electoral Commission has made an astonishing intervention as they declare there is no good reason for local elections to be cancelled for a second year in a row. Also breaking this evening, get this, right? The Prime Minister has told The Sun this. He's come to this holy conclusion that he has made mistakes, but he said he will come out fighting. He's always here, Keir, isn't he? That's as he vows to lead Labour into the next election. And I've got a brilliant panel to talk you through all these stories tonight. Geopolitical strategist and SDP Foreign Affairs spokesman Henry Bolton's making his debut. Former Conservative MP Jane Stevenson is here, and former Labour Party advisor Paul Richards. And have a look at this.
Was this individual? Did he appear to be drunk? Did he appear to be aggressive?
He just looked, like, he hadn't slept for, a week.
Poor bloke. I mean, not Nadeem Zahawi. The poor bloke that moved out of his way to cross the road. I mean, it's bonkers. This whole interview's bonkers. Anyway, happy Valentine's Day. For you lonely hearts watching this evening, I'm going to keep you company this evening, of course. And for those of you coupled up watching, they do say 3 is a pie, don't they? Let's get your evening news, Mr. Theo Wednesday, before we get started and I go mad.
Alex, thank you and good evening. Your headlines at 2 minutes past 10. Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny died in prison after being poisoned with a deadly toxin found in Ecuadorian dart frogs. The UK and other allies have described the poisoning, which they claim could only have been carried out by Vladimir Putin's government, as a barbaric act. The neurotoxin that is classified as a chemical weapon is 200 times stronger than morphine. It's not clear how it was administered to Navalny, who was incarcerated in Siberia when he died almost 2 years ago. According to TASS news agency, Moscow has dismissed the findings as a disinformation campaign. In other news, the Prime Minister has urged Europe to be ready to fight and do whatever it takes to protect our values. Addressing around 50 world leaders at the Munich Security Conference, Sir Keir Starmer said the Brexit days are gone, insisting there's no British security without Europe. He addressed warnings that Russia could use military force against NATO by the end of the decade and announced the UK will be deploying its carrier strike group to the Arctic this year to support Euro-Atlantic security. Meanwhile, President Volodymyr Zelensky also addressed the Munich Security Conference. The Ukrainian president voiced hope for the US-brokered peace talks in Geneva next week.
The Americans often return to the topic of concessions, and too often those concessions are discussed in the context only of Ukraine, not Russia. Europe is practically not present at the table. It's a big mistake to my mind.
Elsewhere, Sir Keir Starmer has insisted he will lead Labour into the next general election, but admitted that appointing Lord Peter Mandelson to ambassador to Washington was a mistake. Speaking to The Sun on Sunday, Sir Keir Starmer rejected suggestions he should resign and reports of plots within Labour to oust him. Meanwhile, back in the UK, Lord Mandelson has been seen publicly for the first time since being summoned to testify before US Congress. Peter Mandelson was pictured with his dog leaving his home in northwest London. He is currently under police investigation for misconduct in public office after allegedly leaking market-sensitive information to late paedophile Jeffrey Epstein. Lord Mandelson has repeatedly denied all wrongdoing. Now, a former imam has been found guilty of 21 sexual offences, including 9 counts of rape, after coercing his victims, some as young as 12, into believing he had supernatural powers. The Met Police said 54-year-old Abdul Halim Khan from East London used his position as a respected faith leader to abuse multiple women and girls between 2004 and 2015. Khan will be sentenced next month. And Matt Weston has made history, becoming the first British man to win gold in the skeleton at the Winter Olympics in Italy. It's also Team GB's first medal of this Games. The 28-year-old has already secured the world and European titles and says being Olympic champion means everything. Those are your latest GB News headlines. Now it's back to Alex.
For all the latest from GB News whilst you're on the go, get the GB News app. Scan the QR code now to download or visit gbnews.com/app.
Is Britain being colonised? Well, as you know, I like to get out and about and meet real people, and today I've been out in Southall, London, one of the most ethnically diverse places in Britain, to ask what they thought of Sir Jim Ratcliffe's comments. Being colonised. Those are the now infamous words of Sir Ratcliffe, of course, co-owner of Manchester United, who made that statement earlier this week. Well, I'm here in Southall today, in London, which is one of the most ethnically diverse parts of the country. Only 2 to 3% of the people here are white British. 64% of people, or 2/3, were born outside of the UK, and it's got a very large Asian population. So I'm going to be asking them to see what they think of Sir Ratcliffe's comments. I'm going to be asking them whether they think he should apologise, or perhaps they might agree with him. Let's find out. You've heard Sir Jim Ratcliffe's comments. He says that Britain's being colonised because of too much immigration coming into the country. What do you think of those comments?
I don't think so that these comments are correct, because you can see around here, because many businesses, most immigrants contribute in the economy. So they are running most businesses, they are doing most technical, difficult jobs for the British. If you minus these immigrants, do you think that this country will run with the just British?
He's had a view, and obviously, like, maybe he's got the numbers wrong. Maybe if he sort of come out in a sort of like a bit different way, sort of maybe everyone sort of could understand what he's trying to say. Maybe sort of got the timing wrong, the words wrong, the numbers wrong. But I mean, he's got a bit of a point. But I don't know if he said it in sort of a way that he wanted to sort of hurt people's feelings or something like that. Maybe it must have been a forced apology. He shouldn't have apologised. But I mean, at the end of the day, we can all sort of like get together, sort of like speak it out, and then sort of just take it from there, rather than sort of getting in each other's back.
I'm an immigrant myself, but I'm a skilled immigrant. okay, and I think I've contributed to the economy, but I really think what he's saying is right, because I don't think immigration is really being monitored, and we have all sorts of people coming in without any skills, without anything, and that's causing a lot of taxes for the people who are really working hard to make ends meet. And we can't even afford to buy things now or live comfortably. I think Ratcliffe is absolutely right. You know, I think he's just being honest. And I don't see anything wrong in being honest.
Do you think he should have apologised? Because he has apologised now.
I don't think he should have. England belongs to the English, if I should say. And if we do come to this country, we should be skilled labour. You know, and it's right. I mean, there's nothing wrong with immigrants if they contribute to society.
Government need to create more and more opportunities for legal immigrants. They need to stop the illegal immigrants, and also they need to, if anybody come to here in this country legally, so government need to appreciate the people who came to here legally, because if anybody will come here, definitely he will do something, work, business, like he will invest and he will do some skilled jobs here, and definitely in the return they will give taxes to the government.
Do you think there's too many immigrants coming to Britain?
Yeah, sure. There is no doubt that in this country, all the immigrants from the different countries, you can't believe some of the countries I never hear. When I come, then I come to know, oh really, these countries exist? And this kind of people, even I can experience, like when you go out from the South Hall, you will see in the buses so many immigrants that you can't understand their languages. You can't know which country they are. So I think as compared to other countries, these countries have a lot of immigrants. So there is no doubt, yeah.
Jim Ratcliffe, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, he co-owns Manchester United, the football club, big football club, right?
Yeah.
This week, he said Britain's being colonised because he thinks there's too much immigration coming into the country. Do you think he's right?
Of course it's not right.
Is it offensive?
It is, because, you know, immigrants also build this country. You know I don't have anything against English people, honestly, but you can't find them cleaning the houses, working in warehouses for a minimum wage. It's immigrants who is doing this. There are some people who are ashamed because they don't do nothing. They came just here to claim benefits. I know there are people, but there are many immigrants that work really, really hard.
All right, there you have it. Very interesting, isn't it? Just before we get into the debate, let's just remind ourselves of Sir Jim Ratcliffe's apology. He said, I'm sorry that my choice of language has offended some people in the UK and Europe, but it's important to raise the issue of controlled and well-managed immigration. All right, well, I've got my fantastic panel here with me, geopolitical strategist and SDP Foreign Affairs spokesman Henry Bolton, former Conservative MP Jane Stevenson, and former Labour Party advisor Paul Richards. Let's get cracking. I thought this was fascinating, Henry, because I honestly went there with fully expecting everyone to be offended. And a lot of those people, many of them legal migrants, said he's right, he never should have apologised. What do you make of that?
On the apology, I think it's up to him. I think what he was doing in that interview was applying a subjective observation. And he sort of termed it what he saw, what he observes, what he sees as colonisation. And I think what he didn't mean to do was be offensive towards anybody. There was a sort of political backlash, not a public backlash so much, a political backlash from certain quarters, saying this was outrageous, and some in the media. And I think he just felt, well, OK, I didn't mean to offend anybody, so he's apologised, hence the choice of language, not what he's observed.
Yes, correct.
And I think then there is the question as, is he right? And I think, actually, I believe he is. And it's not colonisation from the point of view of a foreign nation trying to turn Britain into a colony. But what is undoubtedly happening, as I mentioned earlier in the programme, is sectarianism has come into British politics. Sectarianism has entered British society, and it's based on culture and religion that has been imported from abroad. And we are being expected, largely by English people on the left of politics, to step aside to accommodate those foreign cultures. And that, to my mind, has the same effect as colonisation, even if it's not called colonisation. And when I was a district governor in Kosovo, both the United Nations and NATO termed this precise behaviour and sort of dynamic as cultural displacement.
Interesting. Very
That's
interesting.
the term that I've used many times to refer to this. If one culture is being expected to move aside to accommodate, and it is moving aside because you cannot have, for example, both operating in one society, one community, then you've got to move aside. And the final thing on that, sectarianism is not benign. It is anti-democratic by definition.
Yeah, indeed, it is.
No, I agree.
Jane, I'll come to you on this. A few things to pick up on what they said there. A few of them pointed to British people not wanting to do certain jobs. Yeah. One of the ladies I interviewed said, you don't see English people in warehouses cleaning homes.
Well, I think
is that their fault? Is that English people's fault, or is it the fact that wages have been suppressed, therefore those jobs are not attractive?
I think that's a very London comment, because if you came to Wolverhampton, lots of people are doing very ordinary jobs. So I think that's specific to London, because it's just there's so many foreign people in London now. But I think Jim Ratcliffe's comments, most of what he said, I would agree with. I think the word colonised is so sensitive and evocative of something bigger than he wanted to say.
People think of empire, don't they?
When he got his dates wrong, but since millennium, we have increased the population of this country by 20%.
Yes, it's a lot.
That is a lot, and if you think about infrastructure, housing, roads, everything, it is too many people. There is a slow, natural pace of immigration, and I'm from a very multicultural city, Wolverhampton. We've got a big Sikh population, a big West Indian population that have been there for 60, 70 years. And because of the pace, we're slow and measured. No one has an issue, but I do see more racial tension than I have since I was a child, because of the numbers, and people are scared, people are worried, and the public service is being pressed too hard. And of course, the chap who made me laugh when he went, everybody is making a business, everybody's doing this. Sadly, we know that isn't the case.
Well, this is the fascinating thing about Southall. It actually has a far higher rate. I think it's at least double higher benefit claimant count in Southall. It's also, Paul, I'll put this to you, it's only, in some wards, it's between 2 and 3% white British. Now, when Jim Ratcliffe says something like Britain's being colonised because there's too many immigrants, I think Southall might be a good example of what he's talking about. When the British population no longer exists there, the culture disappears. There's actually, one of the things you see as you walk down the Broadway there in Southall is a church that's closed since 2013, and it's very striking. It's just an empty building there. And that's what people will say. They'll go, well, if integration had worked and immigrants had moved to the country, then surely these churches would still be running. You'd see pubs open, and that isn't the case, is it?
I mean, there's a lot to unpick there, isn't it? I mean, a lot of the new churches that are opening up are Africans who are coming, evangelical Christians opening up new churches, so there is that shift. I mean, Southall, I think, is the opposite argument, actually, because of the people you interviewed there were going to be second, third generation of people who came from predominantly the...
Well, 60% of the people who... two-thirds are foreign-born, actually, so that's not quite the case.
But a lot of them will be people that came in the 60s and 70s, came to work here, came to work in the transport system, in the airport, particularly Heathrow, and so on. And they're the ones who are saying, yeah, immigration's going too far. But they're the ones who have assimilated. And so actually they make the argument that you can. On Ratcliffe, I mean, he's a migrant, isn't he? He's migrated off to Monaco to avoid paying his taxes in this country. He's a massive tax dodger. And he's also run United into the ground as well. And do you know, you're saying about Southall having about 60%. Do you know what has 70% migrants? The United squad, that's what. And without them...
You're just proving the point of Sir Jim Ratcliffe, though, right?
No, I'm not. I'm saying that migrants come and do a good
Manchester
job.
United should be a British team full of British players, but it's not because it's a migrant. I hate that argument because it just reinforces what Sir Jim Ratcliffe said.
We all know immigrants who are fantastic.
The Premiership would be a disaster without all the foreign players.
Let's bring Henry back in. Go on, Henry.
It's not... this isn't a discussion about whether migrants contribute to society or whether they don't. That's a different subject. I mean, you know, migrants contribute massively to the economy in Dubai. You know, so but it's got a very different culture. What we're talking about here, and I think what Sir Jim Ratcliffe was referring to, is what I was talking about earlier, which is the fact that the British culture is being displaced by imported cultures.
But it's not, though, is it?
It is.
No,
it is. His numbers were wrong.
Hang on, let me speak. Hang on, Paul. The one of the women I interviewed there, who was an immigrant herself, said she gets on a bus and she can't even understand people on the bus because there's too many different languages being spoken. That's not assimilation. That isn't integration. Everyone who comes to this country should be using the common tongue and the native tongue of this country, English.
They should.
But this is what
the first generation that comes here, whether it's from down the ages, from the Huguenots onwards, uses their own language at home. Then they learn English, and the second generation speaks English.
But why would you need to do that if your entire area around you and the people are vastly one culture, you wouldn't do it, would you, Paul?
They do. In every generation, this is what happens.
But a great many of the the people who've been sort of Islamicised, fundamentalised. Radicalised. Thank you very much. It's late in the evening. Radicalised are second generation because they have a confused identity. Their parents were born somewhere else, so they're sort of they've got a strong association with Pakistan or wherever it might be, but they're also living the English life, and they're trying to conflate those two things, which is very, very difficult.
Well, we're talking about language. They speak English,
but speaking English is not a cultural. It's not be all and end all of culture. What we are seeing is sectarianism, and try and deny this, Paul. We are seeing sectarianism in local government. That is not British culture, it's not British way of life, it's not British politics, it's not British administration. We are seeing churches being taken over and other centres such as old cinemas. Yes, it's good that they're used, but we're seeing them used and being used as centres for Islam. The fact of the matter is that areas of cultural identity that are associated with British culture are, to an extent, being taken over by foreign cultures. The idea, for example, mosques in the Lake District. That is, whether you like it or whether you don't, that is an importation of a foreign culture that is largely displacing our own.
All right,
and I think you'll find the majority of people that you talk to in public
Funnily enough, I was in Carlisle 2 days ago, and we were talking about the local mosque. It's a tiny mosque serving a very small number of people who happen to be worshipping Islam. Now, that is not displacing anything. It's just people being allowed freedom of religion.
We talked about that earlier.
They are allowed freedom of religion.
All right, let's not talk over each other because the audience doesn't like it. All right, go on. You haven't said.
I was going to say the pace. I'm interested if Paul thinks that increasing the population by 20% in 25 years...
It needs managing, of course, but the British population has always gone up throughout history.
But not by 20% in 25 years. That is a massive leap.
What do you think happened in the mid-century?
Well, Paul, I will say, I think this is, unfortunately, I think you're out of touch and out of step with the British public. Even legal migrants think it is too high, and they especially are very angry legal migrants. And I speak to them in Whitechapel, I speak to them in Southall. They tell me they're very angry about illegal migration, particularly the ones who come in through legal routes. But listen, we haven't got time to discuss this much longer, unfortunately, because we've got a great British giveaway to give you. It's £10,000 luxury holiday for two, 30 grand in tax-free cash. Here's Hayley Sparks with all the details.
You could win cash and the ultimate holiday in our two-part Great British giveaway. Thanks to Riviera Travel, you could be jetting off on a £10,000 dream holiday for two people. With flights, transfers and luxury accommodation included, you'll get to choose the kind of holiday you want. So whether you're looking for hotel comfort or on a relaxing river cruise, you'll be able to find the perfect match from over 30 global destinations on offer. And because the holiday is handpicked with you in mind, you know it's going to be perfect. Plus, we're going to give you £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. Your summer can start here, so make sure you don't miss out.
For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB19, PO Box 8690, Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 27th of February. The winner may be contacted live after all entry routes have closed. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
The head of the Electoral Commission has said ministers do not have sufficient reason to delay local elections for millions of voters. That is next.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk then? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain's newsroom, weekday mornings from 9:30.
Following 100-mile-an-hour winds, which knocked out power and left 28,000 customers across Cornwall without access to broadband services, that people are flocking to the phone box in Helford.
We're going to phone this phone box and see if anyone picks up. Now, the village of Helford, that 3-week storm, a lot of problems with connectivity, but the phone box we're calling now was a vital lifeline for so many in the area at the time. The phone is still ringing, and that's the beautiful...
Hello?
Hi there,
Hello.
you're live on GB News. Who is speaking?
So, say that again. Tony, hello.
Tony, do we reach you in Cornwall?
Hello. GB News, you say?
That's right. Hey, how's it going, Tony? Are you well?
Yeah, I'm doing good.
Great.
Do you live in Helford?
No, I don't live in Halford. I've been staying locally quite often.
And have you suffered from this broadband outage?
The whole phone call system down here has been, yes, we have done.
And when did you last use a phone box before today?
Before today, some time ago.
No.
I wasn't here, and where I was had mobile phone reception, whereas here, there is absolutely none.
Are you a fan of GB News? Because a lot of people staying connected to their communities, they've lost maybe their internet services. All they've got really is the telly and the phone box as well.
Yeah, the phone box here, when I first saw it, it all looked rather quaint, and I thought, oh, that's nice. And I've been down here quite often. The amount I've seen this phone box used, even without the storms and the outages, people passing by with no phone signal at least can phone back and say they've had a problem with the ferry or they can't get to where they're going to be.
GB News, the People's Channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Welcome back to Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, of course. Well, astonishingly, the head of the Electoral Commission has said ministers do not have sufficient reason to delay local elections for millions of voters. The chief executive of Britain's electoral watchdog criticised the decision to allow 30 local authorities to postpone local elections due to take place in May, and emphasised that capacity constraint was not a valid reason for denying people the chance to vote. The watchdog chief also raised concerns about 5 councils that had not held votes since 2021 after what was dubbed as double delays. It comes as ministers asked 63 local authorities with elections scheduled for this year whether they would prefer to delay them and have allowed councillors to use depleted council budgets as justification. Well, to talk about this, I'm now joined by the Regional Campaign Manager for the South East for Reform UK, George Madgwig, and Paul Richards is also here with me in the studio. George, lovely to see you. What's your feeling about this latest line from the Electoral Commission? It's quite damning, isn't it?
Good evening, Alex. Yeah, it is damning, and I fully support it. It's absolutely ridiculous that elections have been cancelled again. We're living in a time now where in this decade we've had 3 elections cancelled, 1 for COVID and 2 in the last 2 years, and it's absolutely shocking. It's terrible, and it's welcome news from the Electoral Commission.
And George, in the south, there has been quite a lot of local elections counselled. Do you think the government have made a strategic misstep here, and it will backfire on them because the public, of course, are seeing some councils raise their council taxes, some to astronomical levels, and the local people won't get a vote there?
Absolutely. I mean, just down here in the south, we've got West Sussex and East Sussex Council, but not only that, we have the mayoral elections cancelled as well across the region. So in Hampshire as well. So this is really, really shocking. We had elections cancelled last year, and the mayoralty was given as the example of the reason why they cancelled it last year. Then they cancelled the mayoralty elections this year and are now postponing the local government reorganisation process. It is absolutely shocking. And I think the British public will remember this when it comes time at the ballot box for them.
Paul, I'm going to bring you into this debate here because, of course, the British public have seen in many councils up and down the country their council tax rise. In some cases, due to these, pausing, we can go pausing counselling, whatever you want to call it, of local elections, there will be local councillors in office for 7 years. Is that fair in a democratic society?
Well, I think it's hilarious. George is hiding behind the Electoral Commission, a bunch of quangocrats, part of the blob that you want to actually abolish in the first place. The chair of the Electoral Commission is a Selwyn College, Cambridge graduate who spent his entire life in the Foreign Office, has never stood for an election in his life, and now you're saying he's some great defender of our democracy. The fact is that this is part of a devolution deal that will give more power to local people. The elections are not cancelled, they are postponed, and most importantly, it will save a load of money on the taxpayer, and so that we can actually get elections that are good value for money when they come, and they will come. And when they do come, I hope that a majority of people vote, because, of course, at the moment, only a minority of people even vote for county council elections.
George, over to you.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think the assumption that someone can't be right regardless of their background, like you just said, is ridiculous. At the end of the day, he's made a good comment, and it's the right thing to do.
But you'd abolish him.
I do say they've been cancelled. Of course they've been cancelled. There's still elections going to be happening next year anyway in those areas that had cancelled this year due to local government reorganisation. So people have lost their vote and have lost their say this year. And they've cancelled them, in my opinion, due to one reason, so that the Conservatives and Labour can control the local government reorganisation constitution process. Next year, or from May, they will be making the decisions of who is the chief executives, who is the financial director, who is the monitoring officer, and the constitution that those authorities are governed by. They do not want reform controlling those constitutional agreements, and that is why they've postponed them, because they're terrified.
Paul, is it a stitch-up?
Well, if it stops it ending up like Kent, which is an absolute basket case run by Reform UK, then maybe that's what's in their minds. But the people will have a say that we will have elections. They are postponed, not cancelled, and people will get to vote at the ballot box, particularly judging Reform on their actual record now in local government.
George?
And that record is absolutely fantastic. I mean, we only need to look at Durham. You need to look at Durham, Northumberland. They're doing great things. Darren Grimes up there and his team, Andrew, have absolutely slashed council tax. They've kept to their promise. We're having results across the country that are successful. So I agree with you. Let's let the voters speak in May at the ballot box, and let's see how well Reform do, because I think we'll be taking the majority of seats.
Yeah, Paul, there is this charge, isn't there, at the Labour Party that you seem to be very adverse to elections. Your Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, of course, blocked Andy Burnham from standing in elections, which would have triggered a leadership contest, but we would have thought by this point. And, of course, we've seen local elections cancelled for 2 years running now. It's not a good look, is it? It's very authoritarian.
Well, I'll challenge that word cancelled yet again. They are postponed, and some of them are going to be...
Postponed, cancelled, whatever you want to call them. They might not ever happen at this point, Paul. You can just keep on saying we're going to reorganise stuff. It's a terrible thing to say. Democracy should be put on hold for a little bit of process.
No, there is a timetable for this major devolution deal, which is a big change in our local government. I mean, I love elections. I've stood for the county council more times than I've had hot dinners, and 3 parliamentary elections, 2 times for police and crime commissioner. I'm a Democrat. I believe in elections, but it's also important to get it right and to save the taxpayer money too, which is what this is about, and getting the system right so we do get a majority of people voting for whichever party is what we want.
Yeah, George, Paul was making some comments about Kent Council there. Of course, there was this pledge that Reform was not going to raise council taxes.
And it's gone up.
It has gone up. Is there a defence here from perhaps maybe Reform don't want to have more councils right now because you are having to raise council taxes, not necessarily by any fault of your own, but as we know, the government there are things like social care where you have to increase with inflation at least, which I think is what's happened in Durham, for example, to be able to pay for those bills.
Well, I think it's a bit rich coming from Labour, talking about council tax of Kent when Keir Starmer led on the promises maybe 20+ times that he would freeze or reduce council tax if they won the government. Well, here they are, Paul. And why have you not reduced council tax? And why have you allowed councils to put up council tax? So that's firmly at the feet of Labour Party. And
your voters doing it. You're the people voting for this in the county halls. Your elected Reform county councillors are putting up the council tax, even though you said you wouldn't. Another broken promise from another bunch of politicians.
So I'm glad you agree that Keir has not done the job and not stuck to what he promised, like he told the electorate when he stood for election. At the end of the day, the councils are in a dire strait, not just because, to be fair to Paul, not just because of Labour's actions. We've had 14 years of absolutely horrendous administration of Conservatives, and they are the reason why the councils are struggling so much.
We can all agree on that, George.
Yeah, I'd say, well, Labour didn't start this mess. They just haven't aided in it too much. And to be fair, here in Portsmouth, Labour have given us a bit of extra money from the government. So I welcome that, absolutely. But in Hampshire, we are almost on the near of bankruptcy in Hampshire County Council. £400 million in debt we're in. And if Reform take control of the council in May, they're going to have some really difficult decisions to make.
All right, well, Paul Richards, George Majorwick, thank you very much, gentlemen, for a hearty debate on local elections there. Coming up on the front page of the Sunday Times, Labour activists paid for smear campaign against journalists. This is a huge story, and I'm going to bring you all the details. Do not miss it.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, well, it is finally settling down in the Iberian Peninsula, bringing parts of Portugal and Spain some dry and settled weather. It's also fairly settled for the Canary Islands throughout this weekend. Still some wet weather pushing into parts of northern Portugal. In fact, much of France will see some very wet weather. Also unsettled through the Mediterranean, Italy in towards Greece as well, seeing spells of showers throughout the weekend. It will turn warmer, though, but into next week for Tenerife. Bye-bye.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
Good evening. Welcome to a GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, after plenty of sunshine today, it turns downhill. We'll see the return of rain and hill snow tonight and then blustery showers through tomorrow. So this ridge of high pressure is extended over us today, but out towards the west, we've got weather fronts approaching. And as this meets the cold air, we're going to see a mixture of rain, sleet and hill snow, initially across Northern Ireland, pushing its way eastwards into much of Scotland, Northern England and Wales. And there is a Met Office snow and ice warning in force overnight and into tomorrow morning. So icy stretches are possible first thing on Sunday morning. Otherwise to the south, most of it falling as rain. Temperatures holding up here around 6 or 7 degrees. So as we start Sunday morning then, do take care, there could be icy stretches in places across Scotland. Orkney and Shetland seeing outbreaks of rain, but for the vast majority of Scotland it's a case of showers. Still some of those on the wintry side. Across Northern Ireland, cloudy, outbreaks of heavy rain arriving later in the west. Many places across northern England holding on to a lot of cloud and a wet start across the south with outbreaks of rain. And some of this rain could turn a little bit wintry across the southeast initially. Otherwise, as we head through the afternoon, there is a band of showery outbreaks of rain that is going to be pushing across the country. Some of this is going to be heavy, perhaps with the risk of hail and thunder. And then behind that, some brighter interludes across the south, highs of 10 or 11, into the north, 5 to 7 degrees. So as we go through Monday, it is a case of sunny spells, but frequent blustery showers just pushing their way through. But like I said, there should be some sunshine in between. They'll generally ease as we go through the day and overnight. And then Tuesday, a chilly start, but plenty of sunshine before turning downhill again on Wednesday with rain and perhaps some more snow.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. I have got your front pages. Some of it is pretty racy stuff. Let's start with the Sunday Times here. Labour activists paid for smear campaign against journalists. That could be a huge story. I'll bring that to you in just a moment. The Independent. Putin arch-rival Navalny poisoned by the Kremlin. Sunday Mirror. Will's agony. The Sun. Epstein Lord Telly Donna. Mail on Sunday. Now there must be probe into envoy Andrew. All right, let's go straight to my panel on this Sunday Times story here, and I'll just read a little bit of it to you so those of you listening at home can get a grasp of this. So this is the Sunday Times front page. Labour activists paid for smear campaign against journalist. Group that helped make Starmer leader hired lobbyists who falsely suggested reporters were linked to Russia. Interesting. The group that helped to get Keir Starmer elected as Labour leader hired lobbyists to investigate the personal, political, religious background of a Sunday Times journalist behind an article about secret donations that funded its work. Labour Together, do you recognise that name, paid £36,000 to APCO, a US public affairs firm, to examine the backgrounds and motivations of reporters behind a story before the general election. The aim was to discredit the Sunday Times' reporting by falsely suggesting its journalists might be part of a Russian conspiracy or had relied on emails hacked by the Kremlin. Wow. Paul? Damning stuff.
It is damning stuff. And I mean, I'm reading this for the first time, same as you are. I don't have any great insight into the story. Labour Together is not formally part of the Labour Party. It's a sort of ginger group on the fringe.
It funds lots of
and sorry, what?
It funds lots of Labour.
Was it not the outgoing Chief of Staff, Morgan McSweeney's gig?
I think he was involved in it, as other ministers. Josh Simons is named in the piece as well. I mean, if it's true that they were using a PR firm to blacken the name of these journalists, then that's absolutely egregious. And it's not something that a Labour ginger group should be involved in at all. So it's an important story from that point of view. I mean, I think Labour Together were concerned there were leaks from within the organisation, and they were worried about that. But that doesn't justify trying to actually smear people, I would say.
This is dirty politics, isn't it, Jane? It's dirty politics. And again, it goes to this point. This was all happening in 2023. Labour Together engaged APCO, this public affairs, allegedly, this public affairs group, to find this stuff on this Sunday Times journalist in November 2023, right? Here's the important bit. That's when the Sunday Times revealed that the Labour Together group had failed to declare £730,000 of donations between 2017 and 2020, which of course sparked the Electoral Commission to get involved, and they found the group guilty of 20 breaches of campaign finance law. So the Sunday Times broke this big scandal. And then what happened allegedly here by what the Sunday Times are telling us is that Labour Together then went, no, we don't like that. We're going to hire this PR group to get some dirt on this journalist and smear their name, all at a time when, by the way, the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, was going to tell us he was cleaning up politics.
Yeah, and we've seen this whispering campaign about the journalist's Jewish faith being at odds with Russian ideology, and there was no evidence for the Russian link from this report. I think Nick Timothy, Shadow Justice Secretary, absolutely right to call it appalling harassment and intimidation of a free press. And this goes right to the heart. Am I reading this correctly, just to double check, that Morgan McSweeney was the chief executive of Labour Together at this point?
So I want to get my facts right. I don't know if he was, but I'll keep...
It said he was responsible for making declarations as chief executive.
Well, look, it may very well be the case. We'll verify the facts because I don't want to smear anyone who, of course, isn't correctly isn't part of the scandal. But of course, we do know Morgan McSweeney does have links to Labour Together, and so do many Labour figures. Where this gets even more damning, and I'm going to read this stuff to you over the course of the next show as well, because there's quite a lot to dig into here. Is that there are people linked here to the Cabinet Office today, so people who worked for Labour Together at the time that are part of this alleged smear campaign against this Sunday Times journalist, who are allegedly or might still be working in the government right now, which would again, Henry, go back to this point that Labour is seen as this party of sleaze and smear. It is not shaping up very good. The Prime Minister's gone through, goodness knows, how many director of comms? Is it 5? He's gone through 2 chiefs of staff now. He's gone through ambassadors, ministers. And this is a party we were told is purer than pure.
Well, it's quite clear. There is no party that's purer than pure. The Conservative Party wasn't. Labour is not. But
Labour did stand on that message that we will be totally different and whiter than white.
I totally agree. But if I can... it's outrageous. If this has actually happened, then absolutely trying to undermine a journalistic story and break its credibility by attacking or trying to undermine the journalist who wrote it is beyond the pale. And if you are going to attack a free media in that underhand manner, then you are being anti-democratic, because it is the media that helps to inform public opinion, and it's the public at the ballot box who hold politicians to account. However, without recapping my political background, I know very well that some very senior, mainly print journalists, are absolutely capable of very, very underhand work, employing people to trail people, employing people to phone tap, employing people to dig into other people's background to try and find the slightest little bit of dirt so that they can undermine a politician. No, the politics don't come into it because it's about selling those headlines. It's about creating that scandal. And I once heard he's retired now, but a very senior journalist saying the job of the media is not to report the news, but to create it. And I think the media, and I'm not going to sort of point any fingers, because writ large has to understand that it has some responsibilities in terms of integrity as well.
Absolutely right. Just here on the Sunday Times front page, Alison Phillips, now head of Labour Together, said the group was ready to support the PRCA and other relevant governance bodies with its review of this issue. APCO did not respond to requests for comment. Leading the GBNews.com website tonight, on your screens, coming up in just a second, an exclusive. Wes Streeting plots to beat Angela Rayner in race to topple Keir Starmer as date is set to oust the Prime Minister. Oh, we'll be getting to that juicy stuff. Just stay with us, because I'm telling you what, it's going to kick off.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Every Sunday from 11, join Michael Portillo.
There'll be topical discussion, looking at the week before and the week to come. So kick back and relax at 11 a.m. on Sundays on GB News with me, Michael Portillo. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Sunday with Michael Portillo from 11, only on GB News.
First up, we've got Traitors. So probably now the biggest TV show in the country, and obviously a global hit as well. We've just been announced it's going to be a stage show coming sometime early next year, we think. And it's got huge prestige behind it. So Sam Mendes, who's major Hollywood director, Bond films, 1917, that incredible film, his company is behind it with All3 Media, which is the Dutch production company that originally created the Traitors concept. So a lot of backing behind it. We don't know which way it's going to swing yet, but the people that are, for example, director Robert Hastie, two of my favourite shows we were just talking about, Standing at the Sky's Edge, which is a very serious, dark show, and then Operation Mincemeat, which is an absolute lark silliness.
I have to say, my favourite show in the world, I've seen it 10 times.
Which one?
Mincemeat.
Oh, have you?
Yes. On Broadway and the West End.
Oh,
I'm
wonderful.
absolutely obsessed by it.
Yeah, it's incredible. So the talent behind all of this is really exciting. Whether we're going to have sort of jazz hands and key changes, I don't know. No cast yet. I would love to see Claudia actually breaking some moves, but I don't think we'll get anyone like that in it.
It could be a bit of a comedy, is what you're suggesting.
I think it's going to be veering towards the lighter side of it, highly entertaining. And they've promised, we keep getting twists every season. The one thing they have said is they will be following the format, but there will be surprises. So this one we're very much looking forward to. More news to come if you meet me up in the tower later.
Interesting. What else do you have for us?
So the next up we've got HMS Pinafore, which is glorious. And there's a lot of people that feel that Gilbert and Sullivan can be a little bit stuffy, perhaps a little bit old-fashioned.
GB News, the People's Channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5.
You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah.
Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight on the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
All right, let's return to the front pages. Is there any more of this spicy stuff going on? Because I tell you what, it just doesn't end for this government, does it? Let's go to the Telegraph. Russia murdered Navalny with frog poison. The Daily Express. Rise in pension age will send 115,000 elderly into poverty. The Observer. Dr. Ice and the Skeleton Crew. And leading the GBnews.com website tonight, Wes Streeting plots to beat Angela Rayner in race to topple Keir Starmer as date is set to oust the Prime Minister. That is an exclusive on the GB News website, and of course we will talk about it here with my panel. Now, of course, just a reminder for you at home, this Sunday Times article here, and I want to talk more about this because I think this is absolutely damning for the government right now, who obviously are constantly embroiled in scandal. We'll come back to it. Of course, the headline, if you're just tuning in or listening at home, is Labour activist page for smear campaign against journalists. We will talk more about that, but let's talk about this GBnews.com exclusive here. The group that helped get Keir Starmer elected as Labour leaders hired... sorry, I'm reading a different article, aren't I? So Wes Streeting, Paul, he's now set trying to beat Angela Rayner. Wes Streeting's plotting to beat Rayner to punch in the punch to beat, obviously, her to Downing Street. The cuffs have been off with Wes Streeting for a while. He's done a lot of things, including leaking those Mandelson messages without, of course, being condemned then by the party. Is he just a loose cannon? When is he going to get sacked?
No and never is the answer to that. But I think, obviously, lots of the different cabinet ministers are on manoeuvres, and there's nothing ignoble, by the way, about wanting to be Prime Minister. If you're a senior cabinet minister, then of course you've got your eye on the prize. Nothing wrong with that at all.
Slightly disloyal to your current Prime Minister.
I would say, and this is an unfashionable view, that actually Starmer is in a stronger position now than he was 2 weeks ago when he was, looking at the collapse of his government because Morgan McSweeney was walking out the door. And actually, with the Anna Sarwar intervention and then the rallying round of the cabinet and the cheering to the rafters at the Parliamentary Labour Party on the Monday night, and then good PMQs where Kemi failed to put the ball in the back of the net. Actually, Starmer's come out stronger. So if there was going to be a coup, it failed, and he's now in a good place now as we go into recess. So I think all this stuff is froth, isn't it?
Jane, there's a few elections coming up, and there's hints around this exclusive here that's when Wes might decide there's a prime opportunity to take action against the Prime Minister.
Well, yeah.
Go on.
Who would want to be in number 10 when the local election results come in the day after. So if Starmer has been given this sort of stay of execution, I'm afraid it's just so he can be the fall guy for those local election results. But people are clearly briefing against West Streeting. We've had some quite spicy leaks about, you know, naughty Wes plotting, and he's denying all of this. The Labour Party is in absolute freefall chaos, and they promise to be different. They promise to be Morgan McSweeney going. You've had numerous people leave Number 10. Keir is to come out today and say I made some mistakes is the biggest understatement.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Henry, we haven't got a lot of time, so very succinctly, what do you think of this story?
I think there's no doubt whatsoever that Wes Streeting wants to be top dog. Absolutely unquestionable in my mind. And what's wrong with that? Oh, no, nothing. I mean, that's what he wants to do. If he's elected as leader of the Labour Party, then he is. But I was just about to say, so what are the implications of that? Well, Wes Streeting is socially very liberal. He's very sort of pro the LGBT thing, open borders, equality, all the rest of it. Immigration, very liberal, so there are consequences to that.
All right, listen, loads more coming up for you. I'm going to bring you more on that Sunday Times front page as well. It's damning stuff. See you in just a tick.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good evening. Welcome to a GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, after plenty of sunshine today, it turns downhill. We'll see the return of rain and hill snow tonight and then blustery showers through tomorrow. So this ridge of high pressure is extended over us today, but out towards the west, we've got weather fronts approaching. And as this meets the cold air, we're going to see a mixture of rain, sleet and hill snow, initially across Northern Ireland, pushing its way eastwards into much of Scotland, Northern England and Wales. And there is a Met Office snow and ice warning in force overnight and into tomorrow morning. So icy stretches are possible first thing on Sunday morning. Otherwise to the south, most of it falling as rain. Temperatures holding up here around 6 or 7 degrees. So as we start Sunday morning then, do take care. There could be icy stretches in places across Scotland. Orkney and Shetland seeing outbreaks of rain, but for the vast majority of Scotland, it's a case of showers. Still some of those on the wintry side. Across Northern Ireland, cloudy. Outbreaks of heavy rain arriving later in the west. Many places across Northern England holding on to a lot of cloud and a wet start across the south with outbreaks of rain. And some of this rain could turn a little bit wintry across the southeast initially. Otherwise, as we head through the afternoon, there is a band of showery outbreaks of rain that is going to be pushing across the country. Some of this is going to be heavy, perhaps with the risk of hail and thunder. And then behind that, some brighter interludes across the south, highs of 10 or 11, into the north, 5 to 7 degrees. So as we go through Monday, it is a case of sunny spells, but frequent blustery showers just pushing their way through. But like I said, there should be some sunshine in between. They'll generally ease as we go through the day and overnight. And then Tuesday, a chilly start, but plenty of sunshine before turning downhill again on Wednesday with rain and perhaps some more snow.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Oh.